Some people collect memories in photo albums. Emma collected them on our walls. I never realized how much a house could mean until it held my entire life within its walls. Standing in our Victorian home's entryway, I trace my fingers along the intricate molding, remembering the day Michael and I first stepped through these doors. "It has good bones," the realtor had said, her voice echoing through the empty rooms. Good bones, but no soul. That was 5 years ago. Now, every inch of this house whispers my presence, my vision, my love. I'm Emma Anderson, and this is the story of how I turned an ordinary house into something extraordinary. Michael and I found this place after months of searching through Boston's suburbs. It wasn't much to look at then, just another fixer-upper on Maple Street with peeling paint and creaky floorboards. But I saw something different. I saw canvas. I saw possibility. I saw home. Michael, being an architect, understood structure and form. He saw the solid foundation, the Victorian charm, the potential for renovation. But I saw beyond that. I saw walls waiting to tell stories. Windows yearning to dance with light. Spaces crying out to be filled with color and life. We bought it that same day. The first thing I painted was the living room. I remember standing there with my brushes, staring at the blank wall while autumn leaves danced outside our bay window. That's when it hit me, why not bring that dance inside? I started with deep reds and burning oranges, sweeping them across the wall in broad strokes. The maple trees took shape beneath my hands, their branches reaching toward a golden sky. Michael found me there at midnight, still painting. "Emma," he said, "you need to sleep." But how could I sleep when the walls were finally beginning to breathe? Each room became its own journey. The kitchen was next. I spent weeks creating a mosaic backsplash, piece by piece. Local wildflowers emerged from tiny fragments of colored glass and ceramic. Black-eyed Susans. New England asters. Wild lupins. Each tile carefully placed, each flower telling its own story. Michael would sit with me late into the night, handing me pieces as I worked. "This one," I'd say, holding up a shard of blue glass, "this one is perfect for the morning glory." He never rushed me, never questioned why it had to be just so. He understood that this wasn't just decoration. This was me, pouring my soul into our home. The sunroom became my masterpiece. I designed stained glass panels for each window, capturing the essence of New England seasons. Spring burst with cherry blossoms and new leaves. Summer blazed with beach scenes and sailing ships. Fall exploded in a symphony of harvest colors. Winter sparkled with ice-covered branches and cardinal red against snow. When the morning light streams through those panels, the room comes alive with dancing colors. It's like being inside a kaleidoscope of memories. Then came the portraits. I started with Michael, capturing him in his favorite reading chair. Not just his face, but his essence, the slight furrow in his brow when he's deep in thought. The way his eyes crinkle at the corners when he smiles. The gentle strength in his hands as they hold his worn copy of Thoreau. Ashley, our daughter, was next. I painted her in the garden, 16 and full of dreams. Her dark hair catching the sunlight. Her green eyes so like mine, full of mischief and hope. The house became my gallery, my sanctuary. Every inch of it told a story. Not just of my talent, but of our life together. Of Sunday mornings with pancakes and jazz music. Of Ashley's first steps across the hardwood floors. Of quiet evenings watching the sunset paint our walls with new colors. I didn't know then that I was racing against time. The diagnosis came on a Tuesday. Aggressive breast cancer. Stage 4. The words fell like stones in the quiet doctor's office. Michael gripped my hand so tight it hurt. But all I could think about was the half-finished mural in Ashley's room. The one with the butterflies I'd promised to complete. How long? Michael asked, his voice barely a whisper. Months, the doctor said. Maybe a year with treatment. I started painting with a new urgency that night. The cancer could have my body, but it wouldn't take my art. It wouldn't rob my family of these pieces of my soul. Chemotherapy left me weak, but my brushes became my weapons. Each stroke was an act of defiance. Each color a middle finger to death's gray shadows. I painted through the nausea. Through the fatigue. Through the days when my bones felt like they were made of glass. The butterflies in Ashley's room took flight, their wings carrying messages of hope and strength. I added hidden words in their patterns. Be brave. Stay strong. Remember me. The self-portrait was my final piece. I painted it during my last good week, when the pain medication still worked. I didn't paint the hollow cheeks or the shadows under my eyes. Instead, I painted what I wanted them to remember. My smile, bright and fierce. My eyes, alive with purpose. My hands, still creating, still fighting. Still loving. I surrounded myself with butterflies in the portrait. Symbols of transformation. Of beauty emerging from darkness. Of life continuing in new forms. Michael found me crying in front of it one night. It's perfect, he whispered, holding me close. It's not enough, I said. There's so much more I want to create. You've created enough, he said. You've created magic. But I knew better. I knew what people could do to magic if given the chance. That's why I called Diana Rodriguez, the best property rights attorney in Boston. I had her draw up specific provisions in my will. The house would remain Michael's, but with conditions. My art couldn't be altered or removed. The house couldn't be sold without ensuring the preservation of every mural, mosaic, and window. You're protecting your legacy, Diana said as I signed the papers. I'm protecting my heart, I corrected her. The pain got worse after that. The medication stopped working. But still, I painted. Smaller pieces now. Quick sketches. Little splashes of color wherever I could manage. Even in hospice, I kept a sketchbook by my bed. I filled it with messages for Ashley. With love notes from Michael. With dreams I wouldn't live to see realized. The last thing I drew was a single butterfly. Beneath it, I wrote, "Art is love made visible." I died on a Sunday morning. The sun was streaming through my stained glass windows, painting the room in kaleidoscope colors. Michael was holding my hand. Ashley was reading poetry. My last thought was of the house. Of the love I'd poured into every inch of it. Of the pieces of my soul hidden in plain sight. Of the magic I'd created. Of the legacy I'd left behind. I didn't know then that my family would need that legacy more than ever. I didn't know that my art would become their armor. Their strength. Their battle cry. I didn't know that sometimes love has to be defended. That sometimes magic has to fight to survive. But I had given them everything they needed. Every brush stroke. Every piece of glass. Every color and shape and shadow. I had given them my heart, made visible. And that would have to be enough. Because the story was about to change. And the house I had filled with love was about to become a battlefield. A new chapter was beginning. One I wouldn't be there to paint. But my art would speak for me. My colors would fight for me. My love would protect them. Even if I couldn't. I first met Jessica Miller at the grief support group 6 months after Emma died. She sat across from me in that sterile community center room, her designer boots crossed at the ankles. Her story spilled out like practiced lines from a play. Successful art gallery owner. Divorced. Lost her husband Tom in a car accident. Single mother to Madison, a college sophomore at Boston University. I wasn't looking for anyone. God knows I wasn't ready. But Jessica had a way of making herself necessary. She'd catch me after meetings, suggesting coffee at the artsy cafe down the street. Tell me about Emma's art, she'd say, stirring her non-fat latte with perfect nails. I found myself talking more than I had in months. About Emma's murals. About her mosaics. About the way she turned our house into a living masterpiece. Jessica listened with what I thought was understanding. She was talented, she'd say, for someone without formal training. I missed the condescension then. Grief has a way of blinding you to red flags. Ashley noticed them first. There's something off about her, Dad, she said one Sunday over breakfast. But I was too caught up in the possibility of not being alone. Too seduced by Jessica's confident smile and art world connections. The first time Jessica came to our house, she wore an expression I couldn't quite read. It's unique, she said, running her fingers along Emma's mosaic backsplash. The colors are quite bold. I thought she was just taking it all in. I didn't realize she was already planning changes. We married in the spring, a small ceremony in our backyard. Ashley wore black. It's fashionable, she insisted, but I knew better. Madison stood by her mother, scrolling through her phone during the vows. I thought we could become a family. I thought Emma would have wanted me to move forward. I was wrong on both counts. The changes started small. A vase moved from its carefully chosen spot. New curtains that didn't quite match Emma's color scheme. Just freshening things up, Jessica would say with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Then came the bigger changes. Honey, she said one morning, I've been thinking about the living room. She held up paint swatches in various shades of beige. These bright colors are a bit overwhelming, don't you think? I stared at Emma's autumn mural, at the maple trees that seemed to dance in the morning light. I like it the way it is, I said. But Jessica had a way of wearing people down. A comment here. A suggestion there. The art market prefers clean lines now. This style is so provincial. Don't you want our home to reflect our taste? Our taste. Not Emma's. Not mine. Hers. The day I came home to find the hallway painted over, my heart stopped. Emma's enchanted forest was gone. Replaced by dove white. Surprise. Jessica beamed. Doesn't it look more modern? I couldn't speak. Couldn't breathe. Ashley came home from college that weekend and burst into tears. How could you let her do this? She demanded. I had no answer. Then Madison announced she was pregnant. Her boyfriend Mike, a perpetually scowling grad student, stood awkwardly behind her. We'll need the studio, Jessica declared. For the nursery. Emma's studio. Her sanctuary. The place where she painted her final pieces. No, I said firmly. Not the studio. But I came home one day to find it emptied. Emma's easels gone. Her paints cleared away. Her last unfinished canvas nowhere to be seen. Where is everything? I demanded. In the garage, Jessica said dismissively. We needed the space. I ran to the garage. Found Emma's paintings stacked carelessly against the wall. Many were damaged. Slashed. Painted over with black paint. Her self-portrait, the one with the butterflies, was destroyed. Something broke inside me. Something that had been bending for months finally snapped. I called Diana Rodriguez that night. Emma's attorney. Read me the will again, I said. Every word. Diana's voice was calm but fierce. The house is yours, Michael. Legally protected as artistic property. Emma made sure of that. No one, not Ev. And a new spouse can alter or remove her art without your consent. I thought about every change Jessica had made. Every piece of Emma she had erased. Every boundary she had crossed. What do I need to do? I asked. Fight, Diana said simply. Fight for Emma's legacy. The eviction notice was served the next day. 2 weeks to vacate. Jessica's reaction was nuclear. You can't do this, she screamed. This is my home now. No, I said quietly. This was never your home. This is Emma's home. And you've destroyed enough of it. The next 2 weeks were hell. Jessica called everyone we knew. Painted me as the villain. Local man evicts pregnant stepdaughter. Grieving widower snaps. Artist's husband erases her memory with new love, now wants to erase new love too. But Ashley stood by me. Mom would be proud, she said, holding my hand as we watched Jessica and Madison pack. She knew this might happen. That's why she protected everything. The day they left, the house felt empty and full at the same time. Empty of their presence. Full of possibility. Full of hope. Full of Emma. I stood in the ruined studio, surrounded by the ghosts of her artwork. And I made a promise. I'll bring it all back, Emma. Every color. Every stroke. Every piece of your heart. The restoration was about to begin. And with it, the real healing could finally start. Because sometimes, love isn't just about holding on. Sometimes it's about fighting back. Sometimes it's about keeping promises. Even the ones you didn't know you'd have to keep. The restoration began with a phone call to Maria Delgado, Boston's finest art conservator. She walked through our house, touching walls, examining damage, taking careful notes. It won't be easy, she said, studying the painted-over murals. But nothing worth saving ever is. Her team arrived the next morning, armed with specialized solvents and tools. They worked like archaeologists, carefully peeling away layers of Jessica's beige paint. Bit by bit, Emma's autumn trees began to emerge. First, a hint of orange. Then a flash of red. Finally, a whole branch reaching toward the golden sky. I watched them work, holding my breath. It felt like watching Emma paint in reverse. Like watching her come back to life, one careful stroke at a time. Ashley came home from college every weekend to help. She'd sit cross-legged on the floor, carefully cleaning bits of mosaic tile. Look, she'd say, holding up a piece of blue glass. This one was from Mom's morning glory. The stained glass windows were a different challenge entirely. I spent weeks searching local workshops, showing photos to anyone who would listen. Then George, an elderly craftsman in Cambridge, recognized them. A woman brought these in months ago, he said, leading me to his back room. Said they were damaged, needed disposing. But I couldn't do it. They were too beautiful to destroy. They were, dusty but intact. Emma's seasons, waiting to come home. George and his team worked miracles. They repaired cracks, replaced broken pieces, restored the original colors. When the first panel went back up spring, with its cherry blossoms and new leaves, the whole house seemed to sigh with relief. The media attention shifted. Historic home restoration captures community's heart. Local artists rally to preserve late artists' legacy. Love story in paint and glass, the house that art saved. People started leaving flowers on our doorstep. Notes of encouragement. Offers to help. The Boston Arts Council reached out. They wanted to document the restoration. Create a short film about Emma's work. Her story needs to be told, they said. It's bigger than just one house now. They were right. It had become something larger than us. A symbol of preservation. Of fighting for what matters. Of love that refuses to be painted over. The hardest part was Emma's studio. Every paint splash on the floor held a memory. Every mark on the walls told a story. I couldn't bring myself to go in there for weeks. Then Ashley had an idea. What if, she said, we turned it into something new? Something Mom would have loved? That's how the Emma Anderson Artist in Residence program was born. We would select young artists each year. Give them space to create. Let them draw inspiration from Emma's work. Keep her spirit of creativity alive. Diana helped with the legal framework. The Boston Fine Arts Association offered to partner. Even George volunteered to mentor the glass artists. The first residents were perfect. Sarah Chen, a muralist with dreams as big as Emma's. James Torres, a mosaic artist who cried when he saw the kitchen backsplash. They moved in with reverence and joy, understanding what it meant to live among Emma's art. To be part of her ongoing story. I found myself spending more time at my Cambridge apartment. The house didn't need me hovering anymore. It had found its new purpose. Its new guardians. Ashley graduated that spring. Announced she was starting an art therapy program. Mom showed me how healing art can be, she said. I want to share that with others. I hung Emma's restored self-portrait in my new living room. The butterflies still dance across the canvas. Their wings still carry her messages. Be brave. Stay strong. Remember me. I do remember. Every day. But not with the crushing grief of before. Now I remember with pride. With purpose. With the knowledge that her legacy lives on. In the house that refuses to forget her. In the artists who find inspiration in her work. In our daughter who carries her spirit forward. In the love that proved stronger than any attempt to erase it. Sometimes at sunset, I visit the house. Watch the light stream through her stained glass windows. See the colors dance across the walls she brought to life. And I swear I can feel her there. In every brush stroke. Every piece of glass. Every carefully chosen color. Smiling. Creating. Living on. Because that's what art does. What love does. It endures. It transforms. It refuses to be erased. Emma knew that. She left us a map in colors and light. A legacy in paint and glass. A love story written on walls. And we'll keep telling it. Keep protecting it. Keep it alive. Just as she would have wanted. Just as she knew we would. Because some stories don't end. They just find new ways to be told. New colors to paint with. New light to shine through. And in this house, Emma's story shines on, brighter than ever, forever. End.